So, do you like podcasts? Did you want to ever make your own, but just thought it wasn't for you, that it was too hard? Well, it really isn't that hard if you have the right partners. I mean, Justin and I, we use Buzzsprout, and it's been fantastic. It's real easy to use. It gets you listed on like every major podcast platform. I mean, we're on Pandora, we're on Stitcher, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're there. It just makes it super easy. You get these cool looking website that you can customize. You got these awesome audio players that you can just pick up and drop into other websites. It's the easiest way to promote your episodes. It really is. And not only that, but you go to Buzzsprout and you've already got 100,000 other people already using it, can tell you how great it is. It's just really the best way to go. And if you want to get started, all you got to do is take some gear that you already have. I mean, I started with a gaming headset, and we moved my way up. So it's not hard, I'm promising you. And if you want to get started, you just click on the Buzzsprout affiliate link in the show notes, and you get a $20 Amazon gift card. If you sign up, and it helps us out too, and it's just good all around.
You and I have unfinished business.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
The moment of patriot feeling, spirit to start.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Let's do this shit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Average Joe's Movie Clubcast presents Schlock Talk, where we watch hot-ass trash so you don't have to. As always, I'm your host, Joey, and today I'm joined by one of my long-term friends, Mr. Ian. How are you today, brother?
I'm very good. Outside of the last few hours I've just spent, yeah.
It should have been an hour and a half, but it was a little bit longer because of pausing and whatnot. So, today we are going to take a look at 1983's Sword and Sorcery cult masterpiece. No, just 1983 Sword and Sorcery movie Death Stalker. So before we get into that, we're gonna do the interrogation route here of my good buddy. So what brought you into Schlocky or B style movies?
I really don't watch a whole lot of them, but I will say I thoroughly enjoyed Mystery Science Theater 3000, like the remake, and that really got me into watching a lot of like horrible movies where you just trash talk it. While that's the fun of those movies, is trash talking.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, as we definitely just did while watching this, I think like I've never actually watched an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000, but I mean, when you got friends over or whatever, it's just what you watch the terrible movie and you do it yourself. So yeah, but that also means I've suffered through like Manos and some other glorious movies. So all right, so big Mystery Science Theater guy. You got a favorite genre? Your go-to genre?
Oh, Sword and Sorcery, or that adventure style is definitely it. I don't really do horror, which I know is like the perfect B movie genre is those horror films like that. But no,
I think nowadays especially that's the money ticket for the Schlocky style of movie is horror, and for the most part what I've done so far on this spinoff has been mostly horror. But I think especially coming out like in the 80s, like coming out of Conan, which this movie really took advantage of, and we'll delve into that a bit later, you can see a lot of B movies where you don't have to have a big budget, and all you got to do is just look through Amazon, and they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that being said, so we're into the sword and sorcery movies, or fantasy adventure, as it were. What is your favorite movie, good sir?
Not sword and sorcery, I'd have to say. I thought about this a lot. And I'd have to say my favorite movie is probably In Bruges. I do really like that dark comedy, that dry English humor that comes from that. I guess it's a drama, a crime drama, if you would. It hits me in all the right places. It's very arty and very stuff like that.
Yeah. So our history of In Bruges is you tried to get me to watch that movie for years and years and years.
Yes.
And as I hate the main actor, I was just like, nah. It was Colin Farrell, by the way. I just put it off and never did it. And then oddly enough, so if you go all the way back to episode 1 of the Average Joe's Movie Club cast, where we did Ashes and Diamonds, the very first challenge, Justin challenged me to In Bruges. In our very first challenge. So in our second episode, you can actually hear me talk about In Bruges, this movie that my dear friend loved so greatly. And Justin enjoyed very much as well. I did not. So, but no, I get it. Like the dark, like almost dramedy to an aspect. Maybe something similar. Almost a little different, but something similar along. It's maybe like Snatch or something. Where it's it's got violence and darkness to it, but it's not just murdering people.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
deal.
a comedy at its core, really.
Yeah. All right. So, do we have a favorite director?
I'm not very good at these, so I would have to say that I really enjoyed 1980s George Lucas with Indiana Jones and the original Star Wars films. I just love how those flow and how they work. He does such a great job back then. I won't give him that credit nowadays, though.
So, with looking at that kind of that style of movie, would you say you like Spielberg?
Yeah, I like Spielberg a lot. A lot of his stuff is really good too.
Yeah, it has that same feel to it. And one thing that I've talked to Carl with about a lot is like while Spielberg is great and maybe the greatest director from this generation, I guess he's not really, obviously not our year generation, as he's much older than us, but for U.S. filmmakers especially, I mean, obviously you still had like Kurosawa kicking it in the early 90s, you had Kubrick into the late 90s, but like Spielberg, he's put out some of the biggest blockbusters from the 70s through now, but he really captures like the amazement and wonderment of film, like when you think about things like E.T. or even Jurassic Park. So he does some good stuff, and I think Lucas, where you're talking about, with the Dream Team with him and Harrison Ford, because Indy in Star Wars, he did some really good stuff, and now he's just like, let's change everything. So, but that's a different conversation for a different show and a different time. We have any actors and or actresses, like, oh, they're in a movie, gotta see it?
Oh boy, so Audrey Plaza jangles my keys, but I refuse to see any of the movies that she's in.
And Carl Meyer has entered the chat. So that's our boy
Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like I have a type because of Audrey Plaza.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
No offense, P.
Let's see. I do really enjoy like Mark Hamill in like the 70s. Talking about Star Wars again was really cool. I mean, it was fine. He was cool. I really like what he's become nowadays, especially in the new trilogy for Star Wars. Ooh, I love me some Mark Hamill. Every time he's on the screen, he just does such a great job, and I love watching him.
So, do you like him more as the Joker? All his animated stuff where he was the Joker for most of the 90s and I think early 2000s even. Mm-hmm. And then obviously he's Luke Skywalker. But let's not forget about his breakout, award-winning performance in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back as the cock knocker.
I can't say that I've seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, let alone some random character Mark Hamill played in there.
Yeah, well, he even has a line that's "Don't fuck with a Jedi Master."
Does he really?
Yeah, but he's got they've got lightsabers that are bongs because it's Blunt Man and Chronic. And he's the bad guy to Blunt Man and Chronic. And he's got a giant, basically like a Hulk fist on his hand, but obviously it's not green. And he just punches people in the dick.
All right. Maybe I take it back. Maybe Mark Hamill isn't my favorite actor.
Look, it was a Kevin Smith movie. I mean, that movie also had Carrie Fisher playing a nun in it, who, so that was interesting. So, alright, to get back on topic. What was the first movie that was like more than a movie to you? Whether it just blew you away in some way, or you were like, oh, this is crazy hella artistic, or something along those lines.
So I'm sure I have a better answer if I sat down to try to really hash out what my first one was, but I can't for the life of me think of anything groundbreaking. So I'll mention I guess the best answer I could give is probably Schindler's List, because, I think that was the first movie that really made me sit down and cry, Oh, how do I even say that? Unabatedly just let it go. That movie really struck me hard, I think. So, I mean, I guess that it does a really good job at that, though.
I mean, yeah, I actually didn't see that until last year, believe it or not. It actually finished, I think, in my top 10 movies for last year for first watches. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, you should go and watch it. It's heart-wrenching. It is long, but it is heart-wrenching, and it is a hell of a film. I still tell people the first one that I know of that I remember is American Beauty. Which I was watching, I think in about 2003, and it came out in 99, and I had already seen Pulp Fiction at that point, but at that point I was still ooh, drugs and guns, I didn't realize, what it was until later, or even something like Jurassic Park, which it wasn't my first movie in theaters, but it was the second movie that I remember seeing in theater, and, the scale of that movie and magnitude. But when you're a kid, especially a male kid in the early 90s, and you're 8, it's 8 or 9, it's like dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. It's in their blood. So, but yeah, no, that's
talking with you right now, I think I do have another answer to that. I still don't think it was the original one, and I don't think I'll ever know, but, 10 years ago, you got me to watch American History X.
Oh shit, boy, that is a hell of a movie.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of those that really hit.
Did we watch that together?
I think we did. It must have been 8 or 9 years ago by now.
Oh yeah, probably. Because the only real memory I have of us watching a movie together. And I know we've watched other ones, but the one that stands out is, I don't know if you remember, but it was me, you, Dave, Jerry, and I don't remember if it was Corey, because we were at Corey's grandma's house. But I don't.
Batman.
Yeah, it was Batman. But I don't remember if it was Corey or if it was Elaine or Kelly. I don't remember how long ago it was, so I don't have that time period of who else was there. But that's irrelevant. I just remember us.
The three of us, me, you, and
Jerry.
Jerry, was it? Or was it Corey out there arguing about some of the plot points of Batman, The Dark Knight?
Yeah, The Dark Knight specifically. I remember it was me, you, and Jerry. I do think Corey was out there at some point. It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We're out in this driveway. And it's not a cookie cutter suburban neighborhood, but it's a suburban neighborhood. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. We're just out there fucking full out arguing about The Dark Knight and his plot points and stuff. And 3 of us are on one side, and Ian's just no, I don't see it. You could tell me I don't see it.
I don't understand how the Joker knew exactly, or where Batman knew exactly where the Joker was. And it took us hours of arguing finally. I do finally concede that, yes, they did have the supersonic phone thing to locate exactly where the Joker was. But it is still bullshit.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to put something random in there to make some shit happen. It's not as out of left field as a dude with no force powers having the force, but we'll get into that in just a minute.
Yeah, that was a little... Holy moly, that movie. Go ahead.
All right, and then what is the last one? What's the first movie you remember watching in the theater?
In the theater. Okay, again, I don't think I have a correct answer for this, because I've watched a lot of movies in theater. I love going to the theater. I remember in elementary school, one of the first movies I could probably put my thumb on was probably watching Men in Black 2 with my grandparents.
Okay.
And there was a scene where the giant worm thing was going through like the tunnels of the railroad underground, and it was like eating the back of the subway carts, and it was so scary I had to leave. That's how young I was.
Oh, wow. I've never actually seen that movie.
It's not worth it.
No, Men in Black 1, though, on the other hand,
was phenomenal.
That shit was the jam. Oh my god, you're going to make me, much like Jenna, you're going to make me feel real old.
When is Men in Black? When did Men in Black 2 come out?
02.
02, I'm definitely seen films earlier than that, but...
Yeah, and if you were in the theater and I mean, I know you're younger than me, but, like, there's no way you were that much, because I'm 17 in 02.
9, I was 9.
Okay, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I was thinking you were like, I was real young, I was thinking you were like 5, and I was like, I know that's not right.
No.
Alrighty. Always good to pick the brain and get, see some of the different things that are first in theater experience. Alright, so with that being said, we're going to delve into the feature, the main event of the evening as it were, 1983's Death Stalker. So this movie came out in 1983. It came out a little over a year after the breakout hit Conan the Barbarian. So it basically rode its coattails. This is a much worse sword and sorcery movie than Conan. Conan, cost like 20 mil, so it had a huge budget, especially for the 80s. I wonder how much of that was like steroids for Arnold, but it made about $70 million back. So, I mean, it definitely was worth its investment. This movie, on the other hand, was a U.S. and Argentina collaboration. It was filmed almost completely in Buenos Aires. It only cost about $457,000, but it made almost $12 million at the U.S. box office.
I would have never guessed that it had that much budget.
At $457,000?
Yeah.
I mean, they had to build those Ren fairs, man.
Oh boy, we'll talk about the Ren fairs.
Look, they spent like $20 worth of fabric for all the women's clothing.
To combine.
Yes, that's all the women's clothing.
Oh my god.
Boy. Oh, I don't even know. The fact that it made $12 million, I get it was the 80s and like home video and cable wasn't near as big yet in the early 80s. But there had to be others sit at the theater, right?
I can't imagine.
I
agree with you. It had to have been rolling like the coattails of Conan the Barbarian.
I mean, that, and once it got out, I mean, I imagine all the teenagers went as soon as they heard that it was just a titty fest.
Oh yeah, well that'll sell you $500,000 right there.
Yeah, and I mean, all right, so it's a sword and sorcery movie. It is 1,000% knockoff Conan the Barbarian. You've even got a dude that we referred to, that the Night Flyer Carl himself referred to as Kmart Mark Hamill.
Yes. Oh my god, yes.
So the scene starts, and there's a girl, and there's a dude about to rape her, and then these like gnarly looking monsters come out and drive him away, and then they're about to rape her, and then Death Stalker shows up. By the way, that's his fucking name. Yeah. It's not like something the Death Stalker. He's just the Death Stalker.
The titular Death Stalker.
Oh yeah, well, titular. That is also an apt description for this movie. Boy. So he like fights him off, and then he's about to sleep with the girl he saved, who, a few minutes ago was about to get raped and now can't wait to get naked. This is like already like the third time she's shown her tits in...
we're 3 minutes in.
Yeah, it's like a minute per tit. We've already got some Japanese cameraman like zooming in on the crotch. It's just gratuitous. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind looking at beautiful women. I'm a very... hot-blooded American male, but it hit a point where the movie, it was more about counting how many titties we were going to see, and I wish I would have had a counter. I think it would have rivaled the super kick counter that one pay-per-view in Ring of Honor years ago for all the wrestling fans that are out there. Anywho,
if they spent more budget on like cutting that out and replacing with exposition, I think that movie would have been a good movie. But it was so much. There was so much just gratuitous, bare-breasted women in that movie.
Yeah, it feels like Tinto Brass or Jess Franco had something to do with this movie. They really didn't, but it just kind of felt that way. But I mean, I guess, you know, there was some fighting. They weren't even super great choreographed fights. Like, I understand, you know, I'm spoiled, you know, because I watch, you know, Wilson Yip and Donnie Yen and, you know, Jet Li and Bruce Lee and, you know, Jackie Chan. We've seen all of these things, you know, Tony Jaa, Ukwa Iwais. But, you know, all of those are martial arts. But, you know, you go to things, you know, you go to the creme de la creme of the fantasy movies, especially that kind. You go to Lord of the Rings and look at how they fought. And, you know, that movie...
That was two dudes with instructions to make it look good in the ring, and they had no choreograph.
Yeah, I don't think there was any choreography, or if it was not very good. I mean, to be fair, though, some of the sword fighting does remind you, we were talking about Star Wars earlier, like those early lightsaber battles where it's just clanking swords. I mean, there was, you know, like some kicks, and we got into the tournament. There was dudes doing like drop kicks to the head, and we had a guy at that tournament use a mallet and just beat a dude to a pulp.
Literally a pulp. He turns into a blood splatter.
I don't even think we're going to go into this plot. There's not much plot. The plot is get 3 items, kill the wizard, and then it also becomes about saving the princess. But he picks up 2 companions, one of which is Kmart Luke Skywalker, and then he picks up this girl who her armor is like if you built a girl. A lot of people build their girl characters in like video games. She had on like a hood with a cape that covered her tits, so basically anytime she moved, she was naked. Her and Deathstalker sleep together. She dies trying to save him from the princess, who really wasn't the princess, who was a guard that was transformed into the princess. Yeah, no, there's not much plot. The plot was, you know, get these items, but he didn't want to, but then he did because a witch told him to. And he went in a cave and got the sword. And if you hold the sword, you can't die.
And then, yeah, there's the 3 items. So you had the sword that made you immortal. Basically, you couldn't die. And then you had the amulet, which had something to do with life. We saw one of the guys use it to transform into a hawk. That was it. That was the only...
At the very beginning of the movie, yeah.
That was the only power we saw of that. And then you had the Goblet of Magic, which allowed you to use magic. Or, like, at least illusionary magic from our understanding.
So that's actually what ended up showing up at Hogwarts, right? That's the Goblet of Fire?
It was close to that.
It wishes.
And you had to collect them all, and you collect all 3 items of the power, and you became the power.
And by that, I mean you stand there and you hold your sword above your head.
Like He-Man.
And... I have the power!
And
he did that. He didn't actually scream that, but he did hold the sword above his head.
Just like He-Man, like 8 times.
I think you're being generous. It was more like 80.
He did it so much.
And then at the end, he was wearing the necklace, the charm, of whatever the hell word we just said. Then he had the goblet and sort of the chalice, as it was called, the chalice of life and death. Oh wait, that's a magic card. And then the sword, and he was holding the sword above his head, and
then it just cut to a still of his face, and that was the movie. Like, there was no ending; it just ended right then and there.
Oh yeah, but then they emblazed the sword on fire on the screen at the end.
Yeah, that was kind of badass. I did.
Oh, what about the wizard getting drawn and quartered?
Yeah, that was cool. Instead of Deathstalker killing him, he just threw him to the crowd, and the crowd had 2 horses lined up.
I mean, it's that time. There's horses around.
No, I get it. Everybody was just ready for a drawn and quarter, though, is my point.
I mean...
And they popped that dude in half, and that was pretty fun. That was a fun scene.
Yeah.
They did really good.
They probably used all of their practical effects budget on that.
Yeah,
that
all 3 frames of it.
And building the Ren Fair and all the minis to, you know, make it look like a swamp outside of a castle.
I did like a lot of their interior sets they had. Those looked a lot really good. There was one point where when the titular Deathstalker was stumbled randomly. You want to talk about something that'll destroy your suspension of disbelief when he crawls into a hole randomly, and there's the Sword of Power being guarded by like an evil goblin-looking guy
who was transformed by the wizard or the sorcerer or whatever the hell.
Whatever it was, I can't even remember his name.
So his tattoo of like a spider or something crawling over his head, it was on the left side of his face for most of the movie. But I think there was
switched at least twice.
Yeah, let's see, what other shenanigans? Oh, there was the puppets. So you had the puppet that was like his pet that was in a chest, and they basically had like a wine glass turned upside down.
Yeah, it was a cake tray, like something you would put in like a cake in, and then you put ants don't get to it. It was exactly that. It was just flipped upside down,
and that was where he fed him eyes and fingers, and but they never. I thought he was gonna, do something or be relevant.
It was just a prop. That's all it was.
Yeah,
but I did think what was really cool is they had that little servant boy pluck out his own eye. Or at least it's shown that he had his eye plucked out and it was on the cake tray to feed that little critter. That was cool, which I think they called Howard.
Yeah, it's Howard. So, I think that's funny because we're both good friends with a gentleman named Howard. I don't know when this episode will air. So if this is aired after Ninja 3, then you've already been introduced to Howard. If not, if it airs before that, it's coming. And it's a good time. We just had a debate, a heated debate in the Heroes Hideout not that long ago, so it'll be interesting to talk bad movies with him.
One of the points one of the things, I don't know if you caught it, but when he was in that little cave getting the sword, and he had to fight that ogre or whatever, when he swung his sword, and they made a big point of like the sword being able to chop through stone. The stuff they had made that stone out of, I think it was like paper mache or something like that, or like a grout. When it like snaps off of the ceiling or whatever, you could see like the unpainted, they just snapped it off of it, and it was just paper mache underneath it. It was I don't know if you caught that.
I didn't catch that. I do remember the chainmail from the beginning though.
Oh yeah, the chainmail.
And by chainmail we mean fabric mail.
Yeah, it was definitely made of yarn.
I mean, it looked pretty good when they were moving around, and obviously it's much lighter and probably also a lot cheaper when you're trying to ball on a $500,000 budget.
Yeah.
So they did some. And then the Ren Fair walls.
Oh man, yeah, just like flat plyboard with painted on rocks, or what it was supposed to be. That
I mean, it's probably a little bit sturdier, so the extras could stand on it. But
yeah,
I bet you
background wall.
Yeah, we definitely had the boards. Definitely, even though we see it had the boards holding them up in the back.
Oh my god, did we see that? I don't know.
No, we didn't. I'm just speculating.
Oh yeah, it was that bad.
But Ren Fair walls. You spent a lot of time at a Ren Fair. You worked at one for like a year, so
yeah, we used to travel and go to a bunch of them. I've definitely seen that Ren Fair wall before.
You probably put it up or something. Yeah, I don't know. There's really much else to say. Like I said, there's a bunch of titties. Although, like the last 20 or 30 minutes, the girls that were in it were actually like covered.
Yeah, they were actually trying to get on with the plot.
Yeah.
They didn't have time.
Well, no, they were trying to get on with the plot. They were trying to cover the plot.
Yeah, I hear you.
That being said, I mean, like they had the princess, and she was basically just in like a bra, but like compared to earlier in the movie where she was literally in a sheer nightgown, so she was just naked.
She wore a cloak, that was it.
Yeah. So they did I guess maybe as our buddy Carl said, they hit the nipple allotment for a rated R movie or something.
Yeah, it suddenly stopped. Like, it was wild how in your face, LOL, that was to start with.
I mean, that wasn't an 80s 3D movie. Maybe they filmed the end of the movie first, and so then afterwards they decided to be crazy gratuitous, and they're like, well, we're not going to go back and reshoot it, so here we are.
Yeah, that could be it.
Maybe. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what Homeboy was thinking, but
all of their budget was in the end, and they had to fill it up with something.
They're like titties. So, you got anything else you want to say about this one?
No, I mean, honestly, I think we've hit on all the high points. It had way too much budget for what came out. It had way too many titties for what came out. And, like, if anybody watches this because we're talking about it, and one of the titular Deathstalker's friend, Kmart Luke Skywalker, you'll understand exactly what we mean. Like that.
Oh, so to point this out, one, not only because it was so successful, it made, like I said, 12 mil against 500,000.
Don't tell me there's a sequel.
Not just one.
Oh no!
There's 4 total movies in the Deathstalker series, and this guy who directed it made like 10 of these kind of movies during the 80s down in Argentina.
So we're gonna. What I'm hearing is I'll be back to watch Deathstalker 2. Even
We can, or we might get you to watch a good movie or something. So
4 sequels.
Well, 3 sequels, 4 movies, but yeah.
God,
so if you, for some reason, have decided that you want to watch this movie, we watched it on Tubi TV, so it was free with ads. It's also free with ads on IMDb TV. You can rent it on Amazon for $3. I'm going to just suggest you watch it for free and don't waste your $3 to get it without ads. And honestly, the ads on Tubi aren't bad. If you've never watched there, they give you a timer in the countdown. I think we had, 4 commercials that whole movie?
Yeah,
IMDb, it would have been 40. So, no offense to IMDb, they just put a lot more commercials in their free TV than Tubi does. So, out of trash, hot trash, or hot ass trash, how would you rate this movie?
Oh, I'd rate it like hot trash. It's by no means a good B movie, if you could say that. It's not bad. Like, it's not bad.
I mean, I don't know if it's the worst I've even done for this series yet, but I think it's hot trash bordering on hot ass trash. And I mean, I know we were talking a lot of shit about it being gratuitous nudity, but like if it didn't have the nudity, it would just be hot ass trash. Now, if we did like you said, where you took some of that out and added actual plot lines and shit, then it's a different story. But if we just had the same movie and it, cut the tits out, then it's real bad. Here's looking at you, Sharkensaw Women's Prison Massacre with your no nudity. Because, by the way, don't watch that movie either. So, yeah. Alright, guys. If you want, you can find me at letterbox.com/Joey_P. I'm also on Twitter at average_Joe, _E, average Joey. If you want to find me and give me some suggestions for future movies for this, or you want to tell me my opinion is trash, you can also find me at the Average Joe's Movie Clubcast at gmail.com, or you can also find Justin in our regular podcast. There's a Facebook page as well. We'd love to hear from you. I don't think I have anything else. You got anything? Anything you want to plug or anything?
No, I appreciate the invite to come watch horrible movies with you.
Anytime, brother.
It was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Well, that's how it works. So with that being said, good night, everybody. Thanks.